So I'm going to go ahead and start the YouTube highlight from right here. This is our second week of the Sub Sunday Guild Workshop thing. And like I said a minute ago, this week we're going to be going over twin consorts, more or less a walkthrough. And I don't have anybody in specific that wanted to, hop on Skype and be the person that, be the person that's going to be participating in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the Blood Legion logs and YouTube video, and we're going to use that as references, and we're going to be going on, like I said, a little bit of a walkthrough for the fight. So, and again, if you guys have any questions, make sure you're asking in chat, and we'll make sure to help out whoever I can with those questions. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna start out actually. What we're gonna do here. Is there anybody in chat right now that is currently working on twin consorts or looking for ways to refine their strategy? Is this going to apply to anybody that's in chat, or am I just going to be doing a walkthrough for the YouTube viewers? Just curious. Okay, no one's replying. Alright, so anyways, we're going to get it kicked off. I'm going to go ahead and link this video here in the chat, and I'm also going to go ahead and link I can't link the World of Laws because ours are private, but you will be able to at least see them on the stream and, get the point across of what I'm going over. Okay, so if any of you guys are able to follow along in the video here, we're going to go ahead and get this started. So Twin Consorts is a three-phase fight for any of, and again, just, it doesn't really have to be your guild that this could benefit. You need to make sure that if you have a friends guild or if you know someone who could use the advice or just use the tweaking or things like that, we're going to go ahead and, hopefully you can let them know. All right, so we're going to get the video started here. This is from our progression kill. A little bit of background on this fight. The 25-man initially was way overtuned compared to the 10-man. The 10-man had much lower HP values in proportion to, the amount of DPS that you had in the raid. So that's the reason you saw this fight go down so quickly on 10-man, and then they ended up nerfing it the subsequent week for 25-man, which caused for a lot of stir because, it was pretty, Paragon got on Lei Shin the week prior to the 25-man guilds or whatever. But, anybody that watches the stream knows very easily that you can't really even compare the two, but I'm just giving you a little bit of backstory about the fight. And this was the Tuesday. The hotfix went in the following reset from the first week of Heroics, which for us was a Tuesday and for Method was a Wednesday. And we full cleared to it and killed it. It took us probably like an hour or two, I think, something like that. I know Method killed it pretty quick, but they had a lot more time on it before going into the reset than we really put into it. Before, the HP values were so insane, you were struggling. It was very tight to kill one of them, and you definitely weren't killing both of them. So, with that said, we're going to get this started. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this fight. The one that we're going to go over here is the one where you pretty much it relies heavily on healing, and you don't really focus on trying to break out as many ads as you need to in phase 1. And the benefit to that, now we're going to go over that here. We're going to hit play. As you can see the raid markers that we have around the room here. We started out initially with the boss in the middle of the room, and the reason for that was just for equal spacing, but it turned out that we were just, we figured out that we needed to get a few of the ads out, just not many, and we weren't able to really do that in the middle of the room, because what we were doing, and I wasn't on my monk yet, and I know one of the things, from watching Method's video or whatever, they actually just use the monk to taunt the person in, and she already moves fast as it is, and when she has provoke on her, she just zipped right into the melee. But you know, like I said, we didn't have a monk at the time, so we just went with pretty much a brute force tactic. You can see here whenever, basically what's going on here in this phase, just everybody stays spread out as range. The only things that are going to hit you are the cosmic barrages. You need to just let them hit you as long as you're not stacked on someone. It's not going to kill you. And then other than that, there's little green clouds that float around that put you to sleep and deal damage to you. And other than that, I'll see if I can. Let's go. We'll go full screen here for you guys. Um, Somebody relink the video in stream chat for the people that are just joining. No, I don't think chat's broken. I just think nobody's really typing at the moment. So I know it may be broken for some people. If anybody can, I'll just link it again. Whatever. Okay, so I'm going to link this just in case you guys want to follow along. So we're going to go full screen here again. I'll swap it back to here. Okay. And you can see here where my mouse pointer is. If you guys are ever doing this fight and you're looking to break ads out, okay, now how this works is there are these little bitty, the longer you're in the phase, the more ads that spawn. And what these things do is they shoot shadow bolts. It's kind of like Garajal, and they shoot shadow bolts at the rate. Okay, you can see one right here where my mouse cursor is. You can see it casting every once in a while. At the beginning of the phase, you don't have to worry about, you know, them gibbing someone, but the later you're in the phase, the, you know, more brutal the damage gets. So again, you know, you can kind of fixate on here. So if you know someone that's, you know, you're going to be assigning to break them out, that's what they need to be looking for, and things like that. But, you know, just going along here, the way this works, okay, there's two different mobs. You have Lulin and you have Suin, okay? And Lulin is the one that starts out in phase 1, and then Suin is the one that pops up from time to time during this phase. Now, the way that you want to do this phase is optimizing your damage on Suin when she's active, okay? And we'll get into the Celestials in a minute once we get there. I'm trying to wait for her to spawn. Tears of the Sun is the ability she casts. It's right after this Cosmic Barrage. Again, as long as the ranged aren't stacked, that's not going to kill anyone. Okay, bam, she spawns, okay? Now, we're going to touch on this. We're going to hit the pause button here, and I'm going to go into a lot of different things that can adjust the fight, you know. And the Celestials have a big impact on the fight, even though they're not like this massive thing that, you know, whenever they happen, it's not like, oh my god, you know, like a Celestial's out, the fight's changing. They're designed to help you, but some specific ones, Zwin, you know, in specific, has a huge impact on how the fight interacts. All right, and this is actually something we did not figure out initially. We found this out into farm. Okay, but just to let you guys understand what's going on in our video here. Again, this is the world first kill, a 25-man kill of this. When Swin pops out, the way we were doing it, okay, everybody switches to Swin. You know, dots stay on her once she leaves, all that stuff. So you want everybody in the raid to have either a targeting macro or whatever. But when she turns active, you need to immediately swap to her and get as much damage as you can in. Because in the third phase, again, there's 3 phases. The first 2 phases are time-based. They're not percent-based. They're 3 minutes each. So you pop your 3 minutes on the pull. Your 3-minute cooldowns are up again once you get into the second phase. And then they're up again going into the final phase. Okay? And you're only going to get 1 lust in the fight. The enrage is, I think, 10 minutes or some shit like that. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's 10 minutes. So you're only really going to get 1 lust. You can go a little bit into the enrage, but, you know, the part that you want to fixate on is killing Swin and popping lust on the pull. It's not really helping you out there. So Swin is what you want to focus your damage on hardcore. And if you know, for people that are bad with names like me, we'll just say, you know, the sun bitch. Okay, so the sun chick, she's the one that you want to make sure that you're putting as much damage as you can every moment that she's active. Okay, so what you see here, and she's also the one that breaks out these little ads, going back to those. So what you can do, one of two different strats. You can do what we're doing. Like I said, this is more of a brute force strategy. If your healers are able to heal through it, you just tank her. off to the side, and that's it. We never move Swin. She's here. And the reason we tanked her off to the side is because we at least get the little ads that spawn in this area of the room over here. Okay, so that was the benefit to tanking it out of the middle, because when she was in the middle, you barely ever got any ads. So we adjusted it to the side, so we at least popped out some of the little lurker ads. And assisted, in mitigating a little bit of the damage. Okay, so again, she's active here. Everybody's just nuking her. You see, she spawned at like 98, and now she's or 97 or something. You see her go down. She's at 94. People refresh dots before she leaves, and now she leaves. You see, we broke out 2 little ads, and now we're back on Swin. Range are staying spread. This phase is very straightforward. Okay, you dodge the sleeping shits, the little green clouds, and you put damage on Swin when she spawns. Other than that, range stays spread out. Now, I don't know if this still happens, but I know on progression, the little ads would be very funky with how they would interact with players. So if someone would pop an immunity like bubble, cloak, anything like that, or take a B-res, any of those, they would just immediately get focus fired by how many lurkers were active. Okay, so that was something that happened on progression. I'm not sure if that still happens. Maybe somebody that's working on the fighter has just recently worked on it, can, provide a little bit of intel as far as that goes, but it's a little fun fact. Does somebody have a question? Hang on. Okay, yeah, I'm going to get to that comment thing, man. That's going to be with the Celestials. Okay, now, one thing also I know that people were doing, you'll see here, we're going to hit play again. Whenever, and again, for tanks, you're going to get an ad on you. That's like a beast of nightmares or something. Yeah, and you have to kill that. And there's 3 total in the phase. One tank, you can either have one tank all of them, or you can do a 2-1 split, however you want to do it. The way that we did it was Absalom, our pally tank, would do the first and third, and I would do the second one. And the only person that could do damage to that is the tank that it's targeted on. Now, a fun fact about that is whoever's healing the tank when that mob is active on them gets a debuff. So one thing that we had to do, and this still applies, I know this for a fact, is if you have a monk healer or someone that has like smart heals that aren't really controlled, you need to make sure that you have the tanks that use a macro that cancels the renewing mist off of off the tank. So you can see it pop up here. While I have the Beast of Nightmares, I'm going to rewind it real quick so you guys can see it pop up. Okay, we're going to head to back it up here so you guys can see this. I actually had it where a weak aura would pop up. At some point. I know it will. Okay, I literally just saw it a second ago, but maybe I didn't rewind it far enough. We're gonna back it up, 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 back it up. Okay. It's gonna pop up here on the left side. I mean, this is very important. That's right. Okay, there it is. Boom, found it. Okay, so you see this weak ore that pops up right here on my screen. Now the reason you want the tanks to have this is because it puts a dot on the healer if that healer goes off. Now what you want to do, you have a macro as a tank. I don't know if you guys can see it on my UI here. I'll go full screen. Down here on my number shift 2 key is what I have it bound to. I replaced Chains of Ice. Actually, is this? Hang on. I don't think this is fully fit. Give me a sec. I want to make sure you guys can see this full thing. It's going to be a little bit letterbox, but at least you can see the whole video, okay? And just make sure you can see my whole UI. Alright, so you're going to have little black borders on the edges, but whatever. Okay, again, so I bound it to the shift 2 key. Basically, you want to have it key bound as a tank. Anytime you see the weak aura pop up, you need to make sure that you have a macro to cancel that, because it's going to put a dot on the healer that's going to be, doing damage to them or whatever. So you want to avoid that happening, especially whenever it's hard on healers to heal this, because there is quite a bit of damage going out. in this phase whenever the ads get, toward the end of the phase and, hitting pretty hard because there's so many of them. All right, so again here, swing comes out. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of information here. One thing that you can do, the way the Celestials work is you can use, there's 4 Celestials. There's the Ox that gives you extra HP. There's the Serpent that gives you HP and mana regen. There is Zuin that's like a Matrix bullet time thing that slows down time. And then there's what the hell is the 4th one? I'm drawing a blank. Cranes. Okay, there's Cranes, and that deals damage to the mobs. Okay, so anytime that you're going to use Cranes, again, the priority target for the most damage is Suin. So you want to save Cranes for the second phase, all right? But we're going to hit real quick here on the Tears of the Sun. Now, what happens here is if you have someone that's really good at timing, you see the Tears of the Sun cast right here. You have somebody that's doing the Celestial and then somebody that's like calling out the time. Like if, let's say that I'm out here and calling out, I'm like, you have 2 seconds. If they hit Suin, or I'm sorry, if they hit Zuin, the Tiger, while Suin is active, so if they hit the Tiger while the Fire Chick is out, it resets the cast time. So you get an additional 10 seconds of damage on the Fire Chick. Okay, so that's a little bit of a advanced tactic that you can use if you need to milk out just a little bit more damage on the Fire Chick. But the downside to that is if you at any point pop Suin, or Zuin, if at any point you use the Tiger before the second phase, you are running the risk of causing yourself to only get 1 comet before the first Nuclear Inferno goes off, okay? While that is possible to deal with, it makes it very hard on healing. A lot of it just depends on how many cooldowns that you have at your accessibility, like Devo, Smoke Bomb, Barrier, all that shit. So I mean, if you've got cooldowns, if you have a plethora of raid CDs and you need to buy damage on the Fire Chick, go ahead and pop the Tiger in phase 1. But if you want to 100% every single time avoid, her doing an Inferno in phase 2 before the second thing spawns, okay, you have to wait and use the Tiger until the second phase, because the way that it works is if you use the Tiger in the first phase, it throws off the timing of the Flame Chick, all right, and sometimes it'll cause her to only, of the Ice Chick, of Lulin, and cause her only to drop 1 comet, all right? Now, again, that's doable, but it's very healing intensive, and you have to make sure that you have the raid CDs. It's like you weigh the pros and the cons. Do you need the damage that bad? If you don't, then what you will do is use it during the first Nuclear Inferno or something like that. It's like you're not really gaining any damage by using the second phase, but you're gaining consistency of always getting the second comet, okay? So, if you guys have ever been doing the fight and then you're like, holy shit, man, why does sometimes she spawn 1 comet and sometimes she does 2? What's with that? We're not doing anything different. It's because you're using the Tiger before she, drops the second comet. Okay, you have to wait until the second comet is down. Now, another benefit to using it in the second phase is you don't have to worry at all about milking comets. Like, the way that you want to do it as a tank, and we'll get to this in a second, but a quick overview, is the tank will like dip in, pull it out when she's low on stacks, and then go back in when she gets higher on stacks, and you got to milk the comet for all that it's worth or whatever. And you ever want to have her next to a comet when she's casting Nuclear Inferno, because she doesn't gain stacks during Nuclear Inferno. But we're going to get into that when we get to the second phase. But I'm just saying, like, if you use the Tiger in the second phase, you're going to make sure that you have so many comets up, because what it does is it like resets the comet cooldown or something. I just know that she's, there's at least like 2 to 3 comets down at all times instead of 1, possibly 2. All right. So we're going to go ahead and hit play here, and we're going to get a little further into this. Again, phase 1, very straightforward. People stay spread out. Avoid the little green clouds that you see traveling around the room. And that's pretty much it. Okay. The healers, as you can see here in our kill vid, the longer we're in the phase here, we've got it looks like 20-something seconds before the phase change. The longer we're in the phase, the more damage starts going out. Now, one thing that we did to combat this is we figured out that they were targeting on people who used immunities like Bubble, Cloak, AMS, and shit like that. And what we would do is during the last like 30 seconds of the phase or something like it was like 30 seconds or 20 seconds or something. It just depends on how many classes you have. We would chain immunities back to back to back to back. So we would have 4 rogues. They would all chain cloak one right after the other to make sure that they're the ones getting target fired, and it would avoid other people getting gibbed. And basically, you have the last person's cloak going up as you're going into the phase change, and then they stop fixating on people using immunities. Okay, so we're gonna hit play here. We're gonna go through the last little bit of this phase. Got about 30 seconds left. There's the Ox. We were using the Ox in phase 1 because the damage got pretty crazy towards the end of phase 1, and that's when we started using the Ox. You see here, Ataxis is like perpetually low. I mean, honestly, this blows my mind because you have every other person in the raid. I want everybody to look at like the HP bars of other people. All right, literally everyone is full, and this guy's like finding ways to take damage. Like everyone else is doing okay, but Ataxis is somehow sitting at 75% and things like that. Now the downside to this is if you don't have people topped and a comet lands on them in phase 2, it's done deal. All right, like it's a wrap. Like this was a huge gear check, not in terms of DPS once they nerfed it, but in terms of having the raw HP to live through the combo. And the combo was you get hit with like that sun blast or whatever that's called on top of a comet spawning on you, and you would have a high chance of getting gibbed. Okay, so we're gonna hit play here. We're going to skip forward just actually, here we go. Here, phase change coming up in 7 seconds. We have the rogues rotating their cloaks and things like that. I think actually I AMS here and they're focusing me. All right, now, right here, we're going into the phase change. Now, again, if you, before we get to phase 2, another way that you can deal with phase 1 that's a lot less brute force intensive. I'll go back and find a video of like our Hordehound gang 10-man. You can have a tank or a Moonkin or anyone that can taunt pull the fire chick around the room and expose all of the little ads, and then you kill them in phase 1. And if you kill them in phase 1, you don't have to worry about them gibbing someone, and you don't have to really AoE them down in phase 2. But AoEing them down is pretty efficient because, they all get kind of in here, and then we AoE grip, and then everybody just goes balls deep on AoE damage. Okay, so you see they're coming in here. I get my army down. Then we get an AoE grip. Then the way that we were doing this is we would pop the tiger right whenever we grip them in, and the reason we would do this is to mitigate the damage or to mitigate the stacks that the fire chick would have going into the first comet. Now again, we didn't know about popping the tiger at the beginning of the phase would sometimes cause you not to get the second comet. We didn't know about that at the time. So we were just trying to, okay, if we're not going to get a second comet, we can at least make sure that she has a very low amount of stacks. And it was working for us because we had smoke bombs, devos, and shit like that. And we were able to heal through it if we didn't get a second comet. So it wasn't a showstopper for us. We found something that worked and we just stuck with it. That's kind of how progression works, all right? So all these ads are in here. Everybody's just AoEing them down. The first comet's going to come down. We'll see here. Now all the ads are dead. We probably killed 4 or 5 total in phase 1. Nothing huge. Now, real quick about this phase. Okay, you see this sunbeam that's landing right here that I paused it on. All right. This thing, if it gets even remotely close to this ice comet when it hits someone, it will make the ice comet disappear. So you need to make sure that everyone in your raid understands to never, ever, ever be standing near the ice comet. There's no reason to. The only time you get near the ice comet is whenever you need to get in for the nuclear inferno. Now, another thing about the ice comet is it spawns on someone, okay? Let me actually see if I can find you guys a picture of... Okay, here is a picture from progression. All right. Now, I'm going to put this full screen, and I want to know if anybody in the chat can guess. This was like a training aid that we made. This was like a training aid that we made for, or that I made from the fraps to show people they can't be this. This made the comet go away. So, can anyone guess who this individual is that, makes the comet disappear? I'm just curious. So, like, I want to see how many people are, like, up to par with, who would be that guy in BL. I see some pretty good guesses. No. It's actually not Affinity for once, and the reason it's not Affinity is because he can stand in melee range on a monk. But this is Bob. I think Spazzo was the first one to get it. This here is our good friend Bobina, who's standing too close to the ice comet. Now you can see here I circled it in paint with a red outline. This is too close. This made the comet go away. That's why I made this picture, is to show people you cannot be that close to the comet. All right. So, that is just something I wanted to show with you guys. That's why, I think that's either Dan or Bashino right here. Nobody can be that close. All right. And if you are, it's going to make the comet go away, and then you're fucked. You really are. Okay. So we're going to hit play here. I think we actually get 2 comets here. I'm not sure. Another thing about this phase, you always want people to be in the circle in the middle of the room. You always want people to be relatively within that circle, because the comets can spawn on they spawn on a person, not can, they do. They do spawn on a person, and you don't want the comets to be on the outside skirts, okay? So, what happens here is, you want to have them relatively near the middle, so everyone's like equidistant to making it inside for the Inferno. We're gonna hit play here. Now what you see is the tank. She actually, the raid damage gets pretty heavy here because she actually had like 11 stacks or something. Okay, we actually get a second comet, so we're good. It's kind of RNG if you use the Tiger before the second comet, but like I said, we were dealing with it if we got it or not. Now, one thing about this, as far as tanks go, I want to, just hit on that real quick. Is a Fan of Flames debuff, okay? This is magic damage. Nothing at all other than stamina or like a cooldown will mitigate it, okay? Like AMS, Div Prot, diffuse magic, shit like that. I think Dampen Harm actually works for that too, since it's like just any attack that's like a percent base. But yeah, you get the point. It's magic damage. Blood Shield's not doing anything for you. Holy Pally Shield Slam's not doing anything for you. Shield Block's not doing anything for you. You want to like Shield Barrier it, or you want to have things that absorb the damage. Okay, so just if anybody's tanking it or is curious how that debuff works, the safe way to do it is switching off every 2 stacks. It's the stacks will fall before you get the next person will get a third, and you just switch. That's the way that we were doing it, is swapping every 2 stacks. So one tactic for 10-man, I actually solo tanked this on my Paladin 10-man heroic, and the way that I was able to do that is, contrary to what Galax told me, you can actually bubble the stacks off on a Paladin and things like that. So if you like cooldown it properly, you can have a cool, like the first 1 or 2 on 10-man especially, you don't need a real big cooldown for. But like say the third one, you want to have like Div Prot up for. The fourth one, you want to have like AD up for. The fifth one, you can shield wall it. And I think we were going up to 6, and then I would bubble. I think that's how we were going. And then I would bubble the stacks off and then reset them. So if you want to know, if you want to have someone, if you're trying to buy damage, you can solo tank the encounter, okay, because of how Paladins work. Even if you don't have a Paladin, you can do it. You're probably just going to need to soul stone the tank. That's how that works, okay? In 25-man, you can do it a couple times. The phase is a strict amount of time. You're going to get the same amount of debuffs every single time, so you want to make sure that, you have a game plan for each one of those stacks as a tank. So like I said, with a monk, you can diffuse magic. Zen Med if your timing is impeccable. It can be applied from range as well, so keep that in mind. So like if the timer goes off when she's inside of a nuclear inferno, she's going to cast it on you coming out of that nuclear inferno. So that would be a point in time where you would want to Zen Med it, because she's going to have to come to you to melee you, but she can apply Fan of Flames debuff from ranged, so you know she's going to hit you with it, so you can Zen Med at that point, all right? Again, that's just for tanks, so I'm just going to touch on that real quick on how that debuff works. So you see here the Nuclear Inferno, everybody runs in. While she is casting this, and you'd be surprised how many people I don't even think understand this. When she is casting Nuclear Inferno, she is immune to damage. There's 0 damage that she's going to take. I've watched streams where people literally pop cooldowns on this chick when she is, casting Nuclear Inferno. And I'm like watching the stream and I'm like, how do people not understand this? You know what I mean? Like, you want to make sure that people are saving cooldowns. I mean, as redundant or rhetorical, as stupid as it sounds, you need to make sure that people don't, use any cooldowns while she's casting Nuclear Inferno, because she is immune to damage. Okay, what's up, Veld? Okay, so again, during each one of these Nuclear Infernos, when you're behind the comet, you take reduced fire damage from Icy Shadows. You see the debuff here. Real quick, touching on UI things. Anybody that's either new to raiding or has been raiding or whatever, like if you raid and you don't have your debuffs near the middle of your screen, you're doing it wrong. Now, you can have your debuffs in the default location if you're going to have like a weak aura, power aura, or something like that pop up when you get a specific debuff. But my point is, you need a way to let you know when you have a debuff that is very close to your character. Because, coming from someone that's done this for years and years and years, you'd be surprised how many people don't understand that. You want your debuffs to be in a position where you can see them easily and locate them instantly. Because, especially when people are learning fights, you don't want to have those constant wipes to people, messing up the same debuff over and over and over. It doesn't have to happen. Just have a standard that everyone has a weak aura right here, or everyone has their debuffs right here. Just anywhere near the middle of your screen, you need to enforce that your guild is doing that, all right? I don't give a fuck if they tell you that it works for them or not. The point is, it will work better if it's near the middle of their screen, because it doesn't matter how amazing they are, how easy it works for them. If it's near the middle of your screen, you can notice it quicker than looking to the top right or the top left or your other monitor whenever you get a debuff, okay? And if someone's not willing to understand that, then they're just being stubborn and they're in denial. It's as simple as I can put it to you, all right? Put your debuffs near the middle of your screen. All right, so we're going to hit play here. Just walking through this fight here. I know a lot of people are just joining. We're going over Twin Consorts walkthrough this week for the Guild Workshop. All right, now what you see happening here, again, she cannot gain stacks when she is casting Nuclear Inferno. So what you see that happened here, we're going to back it up a little bit. She's going to be casting... What is she? All right, I backed it up. Not enough. All right. So what happens here, this comet's going away. All right. Now, she's got 3 stacks going. This comet is going to go away. All right. This will trim her down to, she went down to 2. She goes back up to 3, but as soon as the Nuclear Inferno starts casting, you see that her stacks will not go up. You can see here the debuff. It's stuck at 3. She will not be gaining more stacks. That is why you do not want to have her near an ice comet when she's casting Nuclear Inferno. It's wasting the health of the comet, all right? Okay, now, whenever she comes out of this, you can see her that's on me, Fan of Flames, second debuff. Now, Absalom taunts, and what he does here, she gets down to 1 stack. Now, instead of keeping her on the comet, she's going to deplete the comet faster than she gains stacks. So what Abs does, our Pally Tank, he pulls it away from the comet to let her gain stacks that way, and then he's going to pull her back into the comet to make the stacks go away. Now, that's if you aren't using the Tiger in the second phase, that's how you need to deal with the comets, all right? So you need to make sure that you're pulling it away to make her gain stacks if she doesn't have any, and then pull it back in whenever she has the stacks. Okay, now this comment here is going to be used up, and then we're going to be getting in the fresh one when it spawns. So again, this whole phase is very straightforward. You still want to be spread out because the sunbeam hits a player and it'll hit other people if they're stacked on each other. So you just want to have range spread out across the room near the middle of the circle, okay? And just let tanks do their thing. Now the new one here spawns. We know that's the one that we're going to use for the nuclear inferno. So what we're going to do here, it's on me. I'm just going to keep her near this other one and just keep her stacks down because the nuclear inferno is coming out like basically right after I pull her away from the other one. Make sure that she's not near that. Okay, nuclear inferno is coming. Bam. She's probably going to have like 3 stacks. Exactly. She's at 3 stacks again. Easily healable with only 3 stacks. Once you get up to the range of like 7, 8, 9, starts getting pretty rough. So, you know, again, we're going to let her get some more stacks, and we're going to pull her back over to the depleted comet. As you can see here, Ataxis was the one doing the Celestials for us, I think, during progression. He's doing Cranes in the second phase. Okay, and the reason that you want to do Cranes in the second phase is because all of your damage should be prioritized on the fire chick, okay? And the Cranes are going to deal a decent amount of damage to her at several percent. So you want to make sure that you use that during that phase and not the first phase, because it doesn't matter if you do extra damage to Lulin. You're not trying to kill her first. You're trying to kill the fire chick first. Alright, so we're going to just play it through here. We've got less than a minute left in this phase. Just a little bit of redundancy here. We're going to skip forward. Cranes are going out. Rinse and repeat. Just tanks do the comets correctly. Now, I'm going to pause it right here. If you do use the Tiger during... If you use the Tiger during the first nuclear inferno, you're going to have 3 to 4 comets up at a time. Just because she's going to drop additional comets because the Tiger's active, and you never have to worry about anything. You just pick a comet, camper on it, then move to the next lowest one, and things like that. So, you know, if you don't want to worry about if your tanks are sucking and you're not able to min-max the comet health, you know, just do the fail-safe strat and pop the Tiger during the first nuclear inferno, and you get some extra comets down. All right. So here we get in. We've got a smoke bomb. She's actually got a decent amount of stacks here. This is at 8. We didn't really do that very well with that ice comet. We could have had her a little bit lower, but you know, no worries. Our healers, you know, got pretty beast mode and healed us through that. And then right after that, you see Ataxis. He pops the serpent to make sure the healers have maximum amount of mana going into the last phase. Okay, and as you see here, the last phase is about to start here in right now. All right. Now this is where the fight starts. All that other shit is getting you to the last phase. Now, you can see here, this is on progression. We actually have the fire chick at 36%, and Lulin is at 45%. Now, this is a phase where they're both active at the same time. The fire chick continues to do the, you know, the nuclear inferno, which you have to make sure people are, you know, getting in the comet and things like that. You want to make sure that your daughter classes are keeping dots on Lulin, because the damage still matters. It's just not priority, okay? So what we do here, you can tank them. If you're really strapped for damage, you can tank them on top of each other and just cleave them down. But we weren't that strapped for damage, so we kept Lulin away from the other group because what she does in this phase is Tidal Force. And we didn't want the Tidal Force, you know, to be right on top of the melee, and the melee getting hit by every wave that comes out and it just killing them. You know, now we do that because we've got so much gear, and, you know, we only get 1 Tidal Force and shit like that. It doesn't really matter. But, you know, for guilds that are doing it during progression, they're strapped to the, you know, to the edge, like, you know, trying to milk out every little bit. You just need to stay alive and kill Suin. And you should, if everyone is alive, you should have the damage to kill Lulin before you hit Enrage. Okay, so one thing about this phase that I'm going to go over real quick. As you noticed, during phase 1, we used the Ox, and during phase 2, we used the Tiger, the Cranes, and the Serpent in that order. Okay, the order of which you use the Celestials is completely dependent upon your guild and, you know, their strengths and weaknesses. All right. So if, again, if healers need help healing through that first nuclear inferno, pop the tiger during the first nuclear inferno to make it tick slower, to get people healed up faster between ticks. If you need ox for whatever reason during the second phase for a nuclear inferno, you guys get what I'm saying. Just know your guild. You don't have to have a set order for the celestials and things like that. But the reason I'm talking about the celestials is in the final phase, they all reset. So you whatever you use in the first two phases, you can only use them one time each. But in the third phase, they all reset. So you have everything to your every one of the celestials is accessible once you hit phase 3. All right. So the killer part to phase 3, like I said, it's a tidal force. Outside of that, it's a rinse and repeat of phase 2, where the tanks are doing the comets correctly, the raid gets behind the comets, you cool down through the nuclear inferno, and shit like that. But what throws a wrench into it is the fact that there's cosmic barrages going off, and there's also tidal force going off. So range have to stay spread. Sounds simple, but I don't care who you are. You've had people die to it progressing with your guild. I watched Emily's guild do this, and people were just killing each other left and right to cosmic barrage. I mean, it's like very straightforward. Don't stand on top of each other, okay, as ranged. So, what we're going to do here, I've got Lulin on focus, so you're going to be able to see whenever she starts casting a tidal force or whatever. I'm making sure, as a tank, I'm not too close to the ice comet. I'm not bobbing it up over here. All right. Now, the tidal force is happening right here. Now, the way that we were getting 2 tidal forces, okay? And real quick, before we go into that, we pop Lust at the beginning of phase 3 because that's when everyone's cooldowns are coming up. And, initially we were doing it at the beginning of phase 2, but we found out that it was just more beneficial to do it at the beginning of phase 3 because it also helped healers out, all right? You can do it either one. The bottom line is you have to make sure that you pop Lust when you have nothing but turret time on the fire chick. That is priority 1. So as long as you can get all 40 seconds of your Lust with doing damage to Suin, the fire chick, it doesn't matter when you use it. You can use it in phase 2 or you can use it in phase 3. You do not want to use it in phase 1. All right, so we have Lust up, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I think it's already down. Or no, it's still going. So yeah, we've got about half of Lust still going. The tidal force goes out. Now, what we did for this tidal force, no cosmic barrage is going to be happening during the tidal force. Okay, this is a very key part of the encounter. So if you guys are ever working on this, or if you know your friend's guild that's working on this, you can show them this video, and this will explain exactly why and how all this stuff that, it does what it, or how it works like this. All right. This tidal force is killer, man. If you don't plan for the first tidal force or each tidal force during this phase correctly, you will wipe. Same goes for cosmic barrage because people aren't going to be topped, all the time. So what we do here for the first tidal force, we pop a barrier and a smoke bomb on the fire chick behind her, and everybody gets inside of that. You see here, that looks like Zaris just being a warlock with Soul Link. I mean, it doesn't really matter where they're at, but for the mortals in the raid, we all stack up and make sure that we're not dying to the tidal force and raid damage that are going out, and things like that. So the tidal force is hitting the raid. It's not killing us. Blah blah blah. All right, tidal force is ending in 2-1. You see, actually, that's how much damage that tidal force hit us right after the barrier fell, and look how much damage it did to the entire raid. It kills Fuzz. It takes Center to like 1%, and it takes the rogues. You see Slight's probably the only one that fainted. Clism and Nathan both took a full hit, it looks like. Okay, and it almost kills people. And luckily, we have two. I think we have. I know Bob died in this pull so far. I think we get Center up. I think we leave Fuzz dead just in case a tank dies or something. Okay, so what's happening now is we live through the tidal force. We know we're going to get one more. We know we're going to be getting 2 cosmic barrages. We have a Devo for each one of the cosmic barrages. Now, one thing about using Devo that people need to be wary of is it has a very limited range and the room is rather large. So you want to make sure whoever's turn it is to pop the Devo, they need to be as centralized as they possibly can to pop the Devo and it affect the entire raid. Okay, so what happens here? We have a Devo, as you see here. It's up. The Cosmic Barrage goes out. Center smartly waits to take his res until after the Cosmic Barrage happens, just in case he's going to get gibbed. Okay, and actually we actually res Fuzz. So there's our 3 reses. Were Fuzz, Bob, and Center. Okay, and you see the Nuclear Inferno is happening. People are kind of low. It wouldn't surprise me if Fuzz dies here again. I'm not sure. But we have cooldowns. We have a rallying. I think we actually get a smoke bomb. We do. And a barrier. Okay, so we have a rallying, a smoke bomb, and a barrier for this Nuclear Inferno. Now we know we're only going to be getting, we should be getting 1 Nuclear Inferno, 2 Tidal Forces, and 2 Cosmic Barrages. Any more than that, you're pretty much pushing it to the limit of not being able to make it, just because it gets pretty rough after that. Okay, so what's going to happen here? Fuzz dies again. Okay, the comet actually goes away while we're in here. Now, one thing about this phase is you actually see Ataxis popped Cranes during that, which wasn't optimal because she's not taking damage. So he either popped that. Let me see when he popped that. Did he pop that early or late? Okay, he popped. Okay, that was the tail end of Cranes, so it's actually not that bad. So Cranes are already up. They're running around. She's casting Nuclear Inferno. The Cranes are going to be running out. They're not doing any damage to Swin here. But everybody in the raid needs to understand, when she's casting Nuclear Inferno, you need to make sure you're putting damage into Lulin. As you see, Abs here pulls Lulin on top of the raid where the barrier and all that shit is, and people are doing damage to her to make sure that, you know, we're not hitting in rage with Lulin being at too high HP. Okay, it has happened. All right, now you see the Cranes here ending. Now, coming out of that, we have her at 6%. I think she dies at like 1 or 2% or something. All right, now what happens at this point? Again, we know we're getting 1 more Tidal Force, and we know we're getting 1 more Cosmic Barrage. We already have cooldowns associated for each. And what we're going to do, Ataxis is going to go in and use the Tiger. Here's the other Cosmic Barrage that's going out. The other Devo, the second of 3 Devos goes out. No one's dying because the Devo's up. You see, it does do a lot of damage to people and things like that. She's at 10 stacks, so the raid is taking quite a bit of damage from that buffet of raid damage. Okay, I've got to get to this comet ASAP. All right, so actually she dies. Well, if she didn't die there, I would have had to get to that comet literally as soon as possible and try to trim down that 10 stack. Okay, so again, she dies here right at 1%. Yeah. So this was actually right before the second Tidal Force. So previously we had gotten the second Tidal Force, and what you would do if you know you're only going to get 1 Tidal Force, you want to use the Tiger, okay? Because what happens if you use Zuin the Tiger when she's casting Tidal Force, it makes the waves move like super slow, like no joke, and you can avoid all of them. So that's the #1 best way to deal with Tidal Force, is making sure that you pop the Tiger, you know, whenever she starts casting. All right, now, as you see here, once you kill her, it's like auto win. No bullshit. Like, you just, okay, actually, she starts casting Tidal Force here. She should cancel this.
No.
That's weird, because once the other person's dead, she shouldn't cast Tidal Force. I think she does cancel it here. You hear me yelling at Ataxis to pop the Tiger or whatever. And you see here, okay, good. At least you can see what I'm talking about. You see how slow the waves are coming out once the Tiger is popped? That's because it does the, you know, the Matrix bullet time shit. Now, I think that's probably because she was pretty much casting Tidal Force right as the other person died, so we still got it anyways, but it wasn't that. Here we go with the other Cosmic Barrage. The third Devo is used, and at this point in time, it is literally tanker in the middle of the room, everyone spread out. You do not move, you just avoid the little sleep particles that float around the room, and you're full out turret on the boss. That's it. Healers can even damage if the raid is topped. It's just a race between you and the enraged timer. So, it's pretty straightforward here. We popped the Serpent to make sure that, for whatever reason, I don't know, we probably shouldn't have even done that. It's not needed in that phase. You see here, I'll turn the volume up here. Let's see what's going on.
Full minute almost. Come on.
I'm basically telling healers to DPS.
Repot, repot, repot. If you haven't repotted, just stay alive and repot.
So right here, I'm worried about us hitting the enraged.
Healers, DPS.
So yeah, you hear me bitching at the healers to DPS.
Man.
So we got 30 seconds before enrage. She's at like 8%. I mean, we're on pace. Tanks don't need to swap to the.
Don't die to this shit. Just use immunity. This is going to be the last one. Just don't die here.
Okay, you hear me? I'll just let it play out here.
No, it's not over. It's not over yet. Stay on this bitch. Come on. Come on. Let's go, Lee Shin. What's up, homie? Yo, 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 yo. Yes.
All right. So that's that. That was the end of it. So, I mean, that was pretty much the complete walkthrough. Now, what happens at the end there, if you do hit Enrage, people need to understand that it is possible to live through the Enrage a little bit. Tanks just need to pop everything. You know, they need a shield wall. You need to, you know, put a pain sup on them. You know when she's going to enrage. So you want to have all that stuff done preemptively, and the tank can tank it through enrage a little bit. Okay. Now, you know, that being the walkthrough, we're going to go over. I'm just going to show you guys our logs from like this past week's kill, and I just want to kind of highlight on these just so you guys can kind of understand. You know, tanks are able to do quite a bit of damage on this fight. You see here, 262k. A lot of this just depends on, you know, you're going to have guilds that are like, oh my god, man, Rig, what are you doing? I do, you know, you're going to have people that are like, you know, Rig, I do 250k or 280k. Well, you fucking noob, you know, like a lot of that just comes down to, you know, how the ads are dealt with. If you do like a complete, like, blowing up of the ads, AoEing them down and things like that, how many people you have AoEing, how long they're up, and whatnot. Divix, that was a buyer that we had in. That's not actually, I mean, you see some of the lower DPS. This was, we had Soy's Monk in, soaking leather gear. He's like really low eye level. And then we had a buyer mage in. So, I mean, you guys don't focus really on those. Those are not, you know, damage values that you should be concerned with. Because, like I said, that's somebody that was just in there soaking leather gear and a buyer. So, you know, a lot of it just depends. Like right here, you can see the spike in damage of when the ads come out, like our raid DPS and actual, you know, the everybody's personal DPS goes up, you know, exponentially during that, and that's going to inflate a lot of the numbers. But you know, as you can see here, like our lowest damage was, or actual attacks is also doing constellations. So we'll go with, and then so you have the other tank here. So the lowest person that's like on the balls full time, you know, you got Fuzz doing 175k on his alt ret pally. Okay, but you know, I'm just showing you guys this as like a baseline. You know, if you guys are anywhere in that neighborhood of damage, it's going to be a cakewalk at this point with the gear that's out there. You know, this is a 7-minute kill with a 10-minute enrage. You know, not that big of a deal. So, you know, that is pretty much a walkthrough of how to do the fight. You know, a little bit, you know, just talking about wanting to see the hunters or whatever, that's right here. I'll go ahead and show you a graph of Div's damage. But, yeah, there's Div's damage. You can see here. He spikes really heavily once the ads come out like the rest of the people do. I actually didn't go full retard on the ads here, which is pretty lowered my damage a lot. You can buy a lot of damage there, but again, that's not needed damage. Like if you're doing it on progression, you need to make sure that classes that are able to be doing it efficiently, that aren't losing that much. You know, you don't want to have like a mage in there, arcane explosioning and shit like that. But yeah, that's that. Real quick, I'm gonna use like the next 5 minutes or so. I'm gonna go through chat and see if anybody has questions about any of this stuff. Sonny, what's up, man? What was the reason behind using a mage for constellations? It would just pick the person that you could trust the most to do it. To be honest, yeah, it was kind of like Ataxis had a really good understanding of what was needed when. We didn't want a healer to be doing it because we were, you know, we were having people die. We weren't really doing the fight as optimal as we could. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff that we didn't necessarily understand fully during progression on that fight that we kind of figured out a little later. But we actually had Ataxis. We had him doing it mainly because of, yeah, just I knew he was going to be able to do it. He could do it well, and you know, he knew the timings and whatnot very, very, very good. So that's the reason we had him do that. And we weren't, like I said, especially once they nerfed it, we weren't hitting any damage checks or whatever. I'm just curious if you're still in there studying, who did you guys have doing your constellations and why? I want to scroll through here and grab some more questions. Let's see. Siege of Orgrimmar testing, yes, that's tomorrow. I want to try to keep the questions relevant to Twin Consorts. if you guys have any questions about that. Um, if you guys are asking questions about a walkthrough for a guild workshop for Lei Shin, just go to my YouTube channel. The information's below. That's what I've did the past 2 times, was Lei Shin. It's uploaded and you just take the time and sit down and watch it, okay? Are our logs public? No, they are not. Okay, so yeah, Sonny, I could understand that for sure. Especially, like I said, I know you guys put a lot more time into it than we did the week prior. We actually were like, I think you guys got to it a day before we did, and our shit resets a day before your guys. So we were actually, 2 days difference more or less, like net wise. So you guys had a lot more time to refine a strat than we did going into that. That's why it actually took us a couple hours once they nerfed it, and you guys were actually able to go in there and kill it relatively quick. I think it was like 1 pull for you guys or something, I remember. Um, let's see. Does anybody else have any questions about twin consorts or, yeah, any twin consorts related questions? I've done the fight on Tin Man too, so if anybody has any questions about a specific part of the encounter on Tin Man, I'll be more than glad to answer those questions also. Yeah, I'm going to have this uploaded to YouTube. So again, I know there's not a lot of people that are actually working on this fight, but I can't do Lei Shin every week, even though I know that's what most people, or end up, have trouble on. So, if you guys are stuck on Lei Shin or have questions about Lei Shin, you need to go to my YouTube channel and watch the Lei Shin walkthrough. There's 2 of them actually. I have one for Bryce Monk from Kill Jaden, his guild, and then I have one from Archdruid, their guild. It's also in Kill Jaden. So there's a lot of Lei Shin information for you guys on the Guild Workshop for my YouTube channel. Just make sure to check that out. Do I think Twin Consorts was a good encounter and its difficulty fit as the 11th boss? I think that the initial fight for 25 man was like overtuned because it was insane HP levels, and I think it was very undertuned for 10 man. But again, that's apples and oranges. You can't really compare the two. But I mean, that's my personal opinion of both. But I mean, for its spot in the instance, the fight right before the last one, especially after they nerfed it, it was way too easy in my opinion. I was definitely going into it with expectations of it being quite a bit harder. Yeah, it actually turned out to be relatively easy once they nerfed the HP values. 10 man, the safe way to go about it is 2-tanking it, yes, but if you are really strapped for damage, you want to make sure you want to be 1-tanking the fight for sure. You can 1-tank it, like I said. You can go back and watch the VOD. I kind of went over it. Pally's the best one. Same thing applies to 25 men. I think you can solo tank the fight. If you don't have a paladin, you're going to end up having to res your tank. That's almost a guarantee. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely a fight that's possible to solo tank. Let's see. So we should ignore the ads in phase 1 and just AoE them down in phase 2. The damage in phase 1 seems too high if you don't reveal them. That's what I kind of went over at the beginning of the video. The ads in phase 1, there's 2 different ways you can deal with it. Actually there's 3 different ways. You can brute force it, which is kind of what we did, which is revealing minimal ads. I think we revealed like 4 or 5 total, and then AoE them all down. But that's really healing intensive. You can break them out by having the off tank or a Moonkin or somebody that can taunt, pulling her around the room, revealing them every time that she comes up. But that's going to net you less damage. So that's more of a safe strat. You're going to have less damage on Suin, which is going to take her longer to die in phase 3. But it's going to be much easier on your healers. Or the third way to deal with it would just be to kind of do like an in-between way, and that's you have somebody taunt her out, reveal a couple, and then taunt her back into melee and let melee get on it. It's kind of like a mix of both. But, personally, at this point in time, you should probably go with a safe strat. I would recommend that just because you shouldn't be wiping to lack of damage at this point with gear upgrades, legendary cloaks, metas, all that shit. I mean, it makes the fights very, very, a lot easier than what they were initially. Like we were doing this stuff with like 520 something eye level. No metas, no cloaks, things like that. And to think, people are 550 eye level now. I mean, it's just pretty insane. So, just keep that in mind if you're having to deal with the ads. Reveal them if the damage is too much. Don't try and do the brute force strat. It's not worth it unless the only reason you should do that is if you're strapped for damage. Okay. Um, Can you two heal it on 10 man? I don't know. We use 3 man. I'm sure you can maybe two heal it if you have the right classes and with enough gear and stuff like that. But if you one tank it, 3 healers is plenty. Uh, let's see. What are my thoughts on solo tanking 25 heroic twins? Like I said, a paladin I'm pretty sure could do it. Other tank classes you could do it. You're just probably gonna need a B-res once the fan of flame stacks get too high. Let's see. All right, so I want to thank everybody for watching again this week. This went just over and right about an hour, so that's right on target to where I want to keep these. This is another, the guild workshop for Sundays. It's going to be every Sunday at 6 p.m. So, if you guys have, especially the subs, one benefit to being a sub to the channel, if you guys want to have me personally help out your guild, take your logs, your videos, and just sit down and, go over your information and things like that and help you guys find ways to either, tweak or develop or anything as far as strategy goes, that's something I extend to any of the subs. If you guys just have logs and a video, PM me on Twitch and we'll go from there on whatever boss you're working on. I don't care if it's one we've already covered or not, but yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching. Hopefully, you guys were able to learn something from watching this. And even if you're not, maybe you know someone who will learn from it. And that's the whole point of these: is helping teach people the encounters and help develop people's understanding of the fight. So, thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys are new to the stream, please do me a favor, hit the follow button. And one thing I will also ask of you guys, if you guys don't mind, please follow me on Twitter. I'm getting close to 3K followers. That's my goal in the immediate future. I want to, before the end of the month, that would be awesome if I could hit 3K by then. Real quick, other stuff that you guys can find on this stream. I'll be streaming PTR stuff for Siege of Orgrimmar, 10-man normal. No, I don't stream progression. No, I won't be streaming the 25-man shit or the heroic stuff. But you guys can at least check out our point of view for the 10-man normal stuff, which will be actually tomorrow. So. Thanks again for everybody watching. If you guys want to check out my actual website, Riggnaros.com, it's got a lot of info, FAQ, armory links, donate button if you guys want to knock that out, and things like that. So, again, I really appreciate it. I'm trying to wrap it up. Don't think I'm forgetting anything, but next Sunday we'll be doing another boss. Hopefully a sub contacts me with some info, and I can have another person on here helping them out and whatnot. So. Be here tomorrow for raid testing, 10-man normal, and that's pretty much it. I just got done PTing, bro, 3.5 miles. That's why I'm like, hair's still kind of wet. I just got out of the shower before we started this. So thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow when I start streaming. Later. Good talk.